The Fat Controller has lots of engines on his railway for many different jobs up and down different branch lines and places. However, when an engine is ill or was to be repaired, someone would have to go in their place to ensure all scheduled services could run accordingly. One day, this was the case for Percy, the small engine on Thomas's branch line. He was due for routine maintenance, so Derek the diesel engine was to take his place. Derek was mostly used as a mainline inspection diesel, as he easily strained himself when pulling trains. When he arrived on the branch line, he found he was to visit the dairy where a line of milk tankers were waiting for him. He idled his way into the sidings looking rather worn out. Daisy the diesel railcar gave a pleasant toot as she oiled in with the dairy workers. Derek's driver got out of the cab and onto the platform. "We've given you plenty of trial runs on a stretch of the main line," he started. "Soon enough you'll find your strength to pull a proper train again, just as you were designed to do." A workman coupled the milk tankers to Derek. The engine's crew walked down the platform to see if they could buy themselves any treats for the return journey. "I don't know how much of this I can take," Derek said to himself. "What do you mean?" asked Daisy. "I've got teething troubles, you see. It means I can't push myself too hard." Daisy scoffed. "Diesel engines like you and I shouldn't have to pull too much. It's bad for our swerves." Derek blinked. "What do you mean, swerves?" "Oh, haven't you heard?" began Daisy. "It's Fitter's orders. He told me never pull." As Daisy was speaking, the workman turned and went to couple up a tanker to her, always at high alert for any such occasion. Daisy saw this, and before he could pick up his shunter's pole, Daisy roared, "Excuse me! Do not couple me up to those things." "But oh, whatever," the workman grumbled as he threw down his pole and stormed off. He had no time to argue with disagreeable diesels. "Leave those tankers for Toby. He can fuss around with them later," Daisy called after him. Derek was quietly impressed. His crew eventually returned, bearing full pots of tea and assortments of cakes for the journey. Some people were boarding Daisy, and she was almost ready to go too. "Take it from another engine, Derek. Diesel to diesel. We shouldn't be forced to strain ourselves beyond what we can pull." Derek's concentration was scattered as the guard's whistle blew, and he waved his green flag. Derek left the station in quite a hurry. "Goodbye, Derek, and remember what I said," called Daisy from behind. Derek was having a good run for the most part. He glided through the stations and yards, honking his horn to engines as they went past. They made it to Knapford Station in good time, but Derek was starting to quake. The station master approached him. Bear had to take a special goods train to the other railway and had to leave as passenger service. "Do you think you can cover it?" "Well, we finished Percy's milk delivery, so it seems good enough for us," assured the driver. "I'm not sure about this," muttered Derek. "Come on, boy," comforted his driver. "This'll be a good run for you." And it was. All was going well until they arrived at Gordon's Hill. Derek strained up the grade and his wheels began to spin. His engine coughed and spluttered, and then there was trouble. "That's torn it," said the driver. "We'll have to call for help." A message was sent to the nearest signal box to warn engines travelling up the line. Much to Derek's distaste, it was up to James to rescue the train. "Stuffing nonsense, that's all you dirty diesels are," he retorted as he pulled the angry passengers away. Boko towed Derek back to the shed, where Fitter was waiting to look over his engine. Gordon and James had some things to say to Derek, which he tried his best to blow out. As he went to sleep, he thought about what Daisy had said. "I'll do it tomorrow," he sighed. The next day, Derek entered the yard. He had to take Bear's train again, and he wasn't looking forward to it. Unfortunately, there was no shunter to fetch his coaches, so he had to find his own. As Derek swanked around the carriage sidings, he remembered how fiercely Daisy got away. He unfortunately wasn't a diesel railcar and was incapable of carrying passengers without a coach in tow, so that was out of the question. Derek thought and thought about what he could do to ease his engine, until he had an idea. He rolled into the platform as the passengers had a nasty surprise on their hands. "These coaches are awfully too small to carry all of us," one said.
This service is bound to a vicar's town. There's surely not enough room for everyone.
Another cried. Derek was blinded by his ego, thinking about how good of an idea it was to use the old branch line coaches instead of the express coaches he should have taken. Sheepishly, the guard departed the train with the passengers crammed inside. Derek happily hummed along the main line, feeling very good about himself. His sprightly mood was interrupted by a stern figure still on the platform of the next station, however. "Derek," began the Fat Controller, "I thought I could trust you taking care of Bear's passenger service, but all you've done is cause confusion and delay." Oh, I'm dreadfully sorry, sir," whimpered Derek. "I was struggling to pull the coaches that I was given, so I thought a lighter load would ease the tension. They say it's bad for my swerves, you know." The Fat Controller paused impressively. "Swerves indeed," he said with a smile. "It seems you've been influenced by those who have a particular disposition about pulling trains. I would advise you to listen to my guidance only from now on. Have I made myself clear?" Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. But what am I to do about my train? I'm worried if I pull too much, my wheels just may slip too far." The Fat Controller smiled. "You may have just answered your own question there, Derek." But Derek was clueless. "We can use slip coaches on your train. They're mostly used in the summer period, but they would be perfect to ease the tension on your engine." And so it was arranged. The slip coaches were happy to be put to work and made sure that the journey was easy for Derek. As they arrived at each station, Derek could continue running happily as each coach was decoupled. With each passing station, his load became lighter and lighter.
He raced up hills with ease, and his engine had never felt so well.
Even Boca was impressed. "I didn't think," he said to Edward one day, "that Derek of all diesels could pull a passenger train so gracefully." Daisy, on the other hand, was not so happy. The Fat Controller had seen to it that she pulled milk tankers in addition to her usual passenger service until told otherwise. Derek is now careful about the advice he is given, and knows to listen to the word of the Fat Controller. But he was always left puzzled to what swerves actually were, and if they indeed actually existed.